The Washington Post is very concerned with disinformation. They're very concerned with rumors and unfounded allegations and all these things that they're constantly publishing all the time when it suits their agenda. They're now all of a sudden very concerned with mis and disinformation. Is there anything you can do about that? No, it's called the First Amendment. And if there was something to be done about it, you guys would be out of business because you're constantly peddling lies. Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. So last night we of course had the much anticipated X space with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and we'll get into that. We'll kind of break that down. But it was fascinating watching the left prepare for this. Because for as much as they like to say, oh, Donald Trump's just a convicted criminal, Donald Trump he's a rapist, and all of the things. And they act like he's not a formidable opponent for Kamala. They seem to be very scared of him, to the point where, obviously he has the 91 indictments, which is, I don't know, a lot. In my opinion, we're just handing out indictments like candy these days, so maybe that's not a lot. 91 indictments is a lot to me, okay? So obviously they're trying to go after him any way that they can. But leading up to this particular X, I hate saying X, Twitter space, I hate it. X is stupid. Leading up to this particular Twitter space, we actually saw mainstream media just like melting down, freaking out that this was actually going to happen. And oh my God, how can we stop it? And I want to play Washington Post's Cleve Woodson Jr. talking about to the White House in a press conference, like, well, can we do something about it? Can we intervene? Like, what do we do? Watch.
Misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that? Some of that was about campaign misinformation, but it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that we're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility. These are private companies, so we're also mindful of that too.
Are you?
But
I don't think you are.
Look, it is. I think it is incredibly important to call that out as you're doing. I just don't have any specifics on what we have been doing internally as it relates to the interviews. Not something that I'm tracking, and I'm sure the president's not tracking it either.
Oh, gosh, bummer that they're not going to censor this mis and disinformation, which is, by the way, very laughable coming from the Washington Post. The Washington Post is very concerned with disinformation. They're very concerned with rumors and unfounded allegations and all these things that they're constantly publishing all the time when it suits their agenda. They're now all of a sudden very concerned with mis and disinformation. Is there anything you can do about that? No, it's called the First Amendment. And if there was something to be done about it, you guys would be out of business because you're constantly peddling lies. So it's hilarious to see them so oh my God, how can we stop it? Well, they didn't stop it. It took place. And by the way, it brought in massive numbers. The site was like crashing, which there's been some discrepancies on why exactly that was the case. But there were 2.1 million people who listened live on the space. And as of this morning, the interview page had 197 million views, 620,000 likes, 325,000 comments. And so a lot of people, as it turns out, wanted to listen to what Donald Trump had to say with Elon Musk. Now, I, of course, probably like many of you, I went on and I was trying to get in, and it kept saying, it was like, this page can't be found, or whatever the hell it said. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I missing it? What's going on? And so apparently Elon Musk said that the platform experienced a massive denial of service attack, a DDoS attack. This is what he said. And obviously there were a lot of technical glitches. A lot of people had the same exact problem. They couldn't get into the space. He said that they tested it with like 80 million concurrent viewers or listeners. They had previously tested it to make sure that the platform would withstand that many concurrent listeners, and it was still fine. So we'll see if anything comes of that, because as it turns out, a DDoS attack is like, that's a federal crime. You're not allowed to do that. So even though it seems to be that there are all these curious, like there's the Trump campaign getting hacked. Their emails are getting hacked. There's all of a sudden these DDoS attacks on X whenever Donald Trump is due to have an interview with Elon Musk. There seem to be all of these curious technological glitches preventing Donald Trump from, coming to you, the American people, to just talk about his policies, talk about his opinions. But it did still happen. And I want to play some of these, highlights of this Donald Trump interview with Elon Musk. Watch or listen.
What happened to the people that sold them? Oh, nothing. They got away. Like, and they just know
they always get away.
Nothing's going to, and they don't even bother reporting it, because there's not. They know that they're not going to. People are not going to get prosecuted. They just let violent criminals out in New York.
The only one that gets prosecuted is Donald Trump. They prosecute Trump.
Yeah, I mean it's just obviously messed up.
Oh, it's terrible.
If violent criminals are being getting off scot-free, and meanwhile the New York spending massive resources prosecuting you. Here's to an exciting, inspiring future that people can look forward to and be optimistic and excited about what happens next. And that's the kind of future that I think you will bring as president, and that's why I endorse you.
Well, I appreciate that. That endorsement meant a lot to me. Not all endorsements mean that much, to be honest. Your endorsement meant a lot. And, we have a phrase, make America great again. It's pretty simple, but it really says that we want to make America great again. And we can do it. We can do it now. But if we were going to suffer another 4 years like we suffered for the last 4 years,
yes, we have.
I'm not sure the country can ever come back.
People are wondering how on earth could such a thing happen?
Well, I view it as two ways. There should have been nobody on the roof. There were people,
of course, they're talking about the shooting.
There were so many tens of thousands
there.
of people there. There were people that were seeing him, and there was one woman with a red shirt and Trump all over it, and she's screaming. Well, that guy's got a gun. You saw it probably. There's a guy up there with a gun.
I mean, it's like I guess, for my part, and I think probably many members of the public are wondering how the heck are, basically people wondering by pointing out there's a guy on the roof with a gun.
Yeah.
They're seeing it, but somehow it's not being addressed.
So we don't have the part where he said it was not pleasant. Yes? No? Okay, I specifically asked for that, so I thought it was going to be there. So he went, it was like I think a 2-hour space. And I will say this, it was very refreshing to hear the conversation. It also was a little bit boring at times. I'm not sure that Elon Musk is the right person to interview him, not because for the reasons that the mainstream media will say, which is like, he's too much of a Donald Trump fanboy to interview him. I just don't think, Elon, he's on the spectrum, right? I just don't think that he knew how to steer the conversation in a way that would, keep everyone's attention. But it certainly was great to hear from both of them. And it's just, again, not just the left's reaction in this country, but also in Europe. This is how scared they are of Donald Trump. The EU, the European Union, was threatening Elon Musk because they have rules against promoting harmful content. Okay, so the EU sent Elon Musk a letter, said with great audience comes greater responsibility. This is Terry Breton, the EU's commissioner for internal market, as there is a risk of amplification of potentially harmful content in connection with events with major audience around the world. I send this letter to Elon Musk. So obviously the EU very concerned about Donald Trump. Now, why? I don't know. Like, what's the big scary guy gonna do? I don't know. End wars? Would that be a terrible thing for Donald Trump to do? But it is interesting because you see, just like this country, okay, you see the elites thumbing their, oh, Donald Trump. Oh, no, we can't have him. And those of us who are like average Americans are like, I don't know, he seems like pretty cool. Seems to be the same way in the UK, I would say. But I want to, let's play some people over in the UK watching a Trump rally, I believe. Watch.
Our message to Donald Trump and the United States and every American who's watching this. Your election in November is far bigger than your country, okay? Donald Trump is needed in this world to bring back peace. His leadership is needed to save the West. All of our countries are being flooded. They are destroying our cultures. They're bringing us down. It's an attack on the West. And there's only one person who's going to stop it. You have the opportunity in November with this legend.
By the way, another fun fact before we go, we just put up our Trump Vance sign in our yard, and which, by the way, I am like heavily monitoring on our security cams. Every time someone passes our house, I'm like, are they gonna touch my sign? And so one of our neighbors who is an immigrant to this country, he apparently, Stephen, this happened to you. So I'm telling the story. It happened to you, but he stopped you this morning and said what?
He asked where I got the sign.
He said, what did you tell? It's like, I mean, Donald Trump. So we had a someone who gave it to us, but he said, where did you get the sign? Because I went to the website and I wanted to order one, but the shipping was crazy. Is that what he said?
Yes, exactly.
I'm just saying, like, everyone loves, every average people, regardless of where you're at, everyone loves Donald Trump. And so honestly, Stephen, now I want to buy one for him.
Okay.
We're going to buy one for our neighbor.
Can we just get our friend to give us one more?
Maybe that's about, no, listen, we're living in Joe Biden's America. Okay. We got to pinch pennies where we can. We'll see if my friend can give us one more. All right. We've got to go to break, and then we've got another exclusive from our very own Steve Baker. First, I want to thank our sponsor here. So Cardio Miracle, they are like, I drink theirs. This is my pre-show ritual. I love drinking Cardio Miracle. They've got the finest food, plant, and herbal ingredients, best natural flavors in the world. But more importantly, I could list Alzheimer's, low energy, vitamin depletion, dementia, kidney disease, diabetes. Like, it can help with so many different ailments, because what it does is it stimulates your body's natural healing pathways to produce the miracle molecule nitric oxide. So it's going to give you a boost of energy. It's going to give your natural healing pathways a boost. It is so incredible. It's great stuff. They've got amazing success stories you can find on their website. So you can go to cardiomiracle.com/Sara. They've got a 60-day money-back guarantee. There's no reason not to try it. Use code Sara for 10% off of your first order, or subscribe and save for 15% off with free shipping. That is cardiomiracle.com/Sara, promo code Sara. Welcome back to the show. Our very own Steve Baker, of course, Blaze Media's own investigative reporter. You got like scoops all over the place, Steve. We just had you on yesterday to talk about the shooter and the peculiar details, circumstances with all of this body cam footage. And now today, let's talk about, we're gonna get in the time machine, and we're gonna go back to January 6th, 2021.
All right.
Okay. And we're gonna revisit this pipe bomb that it seems to be, pipe bombs, that it seems to be that everyone else has forgotten about those, except you here at Blaze Media.
There may be a couple of others of us out still looking at this.
You like to
thing.
give other people credit. I don't. Just
But the bottom line is that what we've been talking about recently with the Secret Service, it's all connected. There may be 3.5 years between J6 and J13, but they're connected.
It's all connected. So with this one, this latest, congressional investigators say Kamala Harris, who of course was vice president-elect at the time, so they were not inaugurated yet, but she was already going to be the vice president. She was inside the DNC's DC headquarters when the pipe bomb was planted outside the building. We do know, of course, in large part thanks to you, the device was discovered by a plainclothes Capitol Police counter-surveillance officer. And the FBI said that each of these bombs was attached to a 60-minute egg timer, which really doesn't make sense in and of itself. But I could get sidetracked all day with all of these things that none of these things make sense, leading to the other thing that doesn't make sense. But so a senior congressional investigator, this is from your article, I believe, told Blaze News, the latest theory is that the DNC bomb was planted less than 15 minutes before it was discovered at 1:05 p.m., not 17 hours earlier, as they had told us for a very, very long time. So that would mean the bomb was placed near a park bench on the southwest side of the DNC building 22 minutes before Kamala Harris was removed from the building, which would raise some questions.
A lot of questions.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just start with the absurdity of the notion that these two bombs, the one at the DNC and the one that was in the alley between the RNC and the Capitol Hill Club, which is a place where Republicans hang out, and that's where they have their dinners and their lunches and their meetups. And the absurdity with the amount of traffic that was going by both of those devices that were made to look like bombs. I mean, kind of out of a cartoon, but nevertheless, they were made to look exactly like a bomb with a egg timer on it. And with the amount of people walking past, children, families, old couples, cops by the dozens, and then you had two bomb sniffing dogs at least that were deployed by the Secret Service that morning, one team at 8:30, another team at 10:30 in the morning. Now, those bombs were in a blind spot from the actual Capitol CCTV cameras, which are controlled from the Capitol Police Command Center. Now, they were in a blind spot. We know from my further stories that they actually even eventually turned those cameras completely away from the investigative scene.
Yeah, you watch it just go.
And then they never come back.
Right.
These are cameras that were locked in position for, we know, at least 8 days prior to January 6th. But they were still a blind spot. Somehow the person who dropped that bomb in that spot knew it was a blind spot. The problem is that there's not a blind spot in the actual DNC's cameras. So the Democratic National Committee headquarters have their own security cameras. And if the FBI would just release the 20 or so, 24 hours, whatever, of uninterrupted, unfiltered, unedited video of that scene, we could see who and when that bomb was dropped.
But they won't.
But they refuse to release that. And there's no reason, Sarah, there's nothing classified.
Right.
There's nothing to be marked sensitive or highly sensitive or top secret. This is reeking of cover-up. For one reason and one reason, let's forget about all the other notions about the Secret Service having deleted all of their texts and their emails that day. And let's not even talk about yet why Kamala Harris was even at the building that day. And
that's what I want to know.
Okay,
all right, we'll
get to that. And why she wasn't at the Capitol when she was being coronated as vice president that day.
Right.
All the FBI has to do to end the conspiracy theories, to provide for the American people what we deserve to know, is nothing more than just the truth. Is release the effing video. That's it.
Seems very strange.
But as you showed on the screen, we're speaking directly to congressional investigators, senior congressional staffers, and congressmen. And they tell us that the FBI will not give them that video. Period. It's an ongoing investigation.
But we already have other videos from the ongoing investigation.
Yeah, but this could be ongoing for another 40 years till everybody's dead and gone. And
that seems to be what they do now, is they just say, well, it's ongoing, so we can't show it to you.
It is exactly what they do. There's no look. There is zero reason for the FBI not to release the DNC security cameras.
I mean, it's also like, listen, guys, it's an ongoing investigation in the sense that you haven't you haven't figured out who it was yet. But like at a certain point, maybe just toss it to us as the American public, because you seem to not be able to do your jobs at all. Yeah. So maybe we could help you out. Maybe you could just, like, you could show us who it is and, like, someone could identify them. Maybe we could just, because at a certain point, we just say, listen, it's been, 3 years? How many more years is it going to take for you to try to crack the case? Or maybe you just don't want to.
It's hard to crack the case when you obviously don't want, because, look, one of the reasons why at local police level, they release these videos, they call them Crime Stoppers, right?
Yeah.
And they show the security camera from a gas station or a convenience store that's being robbed. And they release those videos because they get assistance and clues and tips from the public.
Right, exactly.
You're telling me that the FBI doesn't know how to do that either? There is a reason they're not giving us this video.
So I do want to go back to then, why was Kamala Harris even there?
Nobody knows, and she won't talk about it. She hasn't even been asked a question about it in 3.5 years. Let's start from the beginning of that, okay?
Okay.
All right. So there's something happening very special that day at the Capitol. It is the certification of the Electoral College vote, right? And she is not only a sitting voting senator who her vote might count in a contested vote, but she's also about to be coronated and certified as the second most important and powerful person in this country. Mm-hmm. One heartbeat away from, old Uncle Joe's, presidency. And she chooses not to be there. We found out from this OIG report that Joe Hanneman and myself, reference in this story, is that the Secret Service knew that she was going to be scheduled at the DNC from 11:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. that day, but the debate and vote begins at 1 p.m.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So her motorcade arrives at 11:30 at the DNC. It passes within 20 feet of the alleged pipe bomb, a bomb that the dogs have not been able to find and that many officers have walked past all day long and have never seen, even though it's right out in the open. And then at about 12:51, a Metropolitan Police Department car pulls up right in front of where the bomb is. A trench-coated man, ostensibly Secret Service, gets out with a bag in his hand, and he disappears into the blind spot. The blind spot. Mm-hmm. 2 minutes later, he comes back to the car, wanders over, and gets into one of the other vehicles. That's at exactly 12:53. Sarah, do you recall what time the first breach happened at the Capitol barricade?
Time.
12:53.
Shut up.
Not kidding. You can't make this stuff up.
Oh, my God.
And then,
yeah.
15 minutes later-ish, a undercover or plainclothes Capitol police officer walks up to the Secret Service vehicles parked that are guarding the garage and parked blocking the garage entrance to the DNC, and walks up and informs them that he has now found a pipe bomb. To which then, after walking to both vehicles and notifying them that he has discovered a bomb,
right,
the agents in the cars finish their sandwiches.
Yes, we saw there's video of that, right?
They finish their lunch. They get out in a very lackadaisical manner.
Yeah.
They don't perform a single thing related to their standard operating procedure for finding a suspicious package, a bomb, a backpack device, or anything else like that. They don't cordon off anything. They don't stop road traffic. They don't stop the sidewalk traffic. Families walk past.
Yeah, there's kids.
Old couples walking past. Children walk past.
Right.
They never put up the tape. They never cordon it off. There's a train trestle 40 feet away, and the Amtrak is still just going back and forth. They don't do a single thing by Textbook.
behaving in such a way that maybe they knew that it wasn't a threat in the first place.
What else does anybody, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. You don't have to wear a tinfoil hat. I don't need to be on Alex Jones. This is common sense. Something is wrong from top to bottom here, and we still don't know why Kamala Harris was in that building. She's never spoken about it in 3.5 years, even though her motorcade passed 20 feet
She was right there. She was in danger.
She was in danger. Her life was in danger. It may have been an assassination attempt.
Right.
What politician, left, right, or otherwise, doesn't
Exactly.
take advantage of that for political purposes to say, why has no reporter in 3.5 years from any mainstream news organization not said to her in a press conference or during an one-on-one interview, Madam Vice President, what did it feel like that day when you found out that you were near death?
Right.
Instead, they've been told not to ask that question.
And that is true. Like
There is no other reason for them not to.
not to. Yeah. Wow. Well, Steve, I appreciate you so much and all of the work that you're doing, not leaving any stone unturned, regardless of who it pisses off.
I'm a little on edge today because these questions are driving me crazy because they're driving me to my limit.
Steve's like, look, when I feel like I'm going to pick up the tinfoil hat and put it on like you, Sara, I just don't like myself. I'm kidding.
And you know what? Thank God that the Blaze had the foresight to steal Joe Hanneman from Epic Times and get him over here with me. So because he kind of keeps me leveled out. I actually sent him a note yesterday on the final draft of one of these two stories. I said, whew, man, thanks for pulling me off the ledge here.
Well, you guys are doing really great work, and we appreciate you. And honestly, I appreciate the most that, like, your work, I think, ultimately will lead to just burning the entire place down, which obviously needs to happen.
I hope that happens.
Yeah, me too. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll be right back. I'm so happy to welcome back to the show Jaco Booyens, Blaze TV contributor and, of course, founder of Jaco Booyens Ministries, JBM. Your glasses look amazing, first of all. And you've been gone for too long, second of all.
Yes, way too long. Missed you, brother.
Yes, Eric July, of course, Blaze TV contributor. Eric, I'm not ignoring you. He's just been gone.
I get it.
Blaze TV contributor and founder of Ripaverse Comics, which everyone should check out. Don't be gone that long again.
Thank you.
Saying no, I'm kidding. So I would actually, before we get into this next story, I would love to hear your thoughts, or if you guys tuned in or listened to any part of the Donald Trump, Elon Musk. I keep saying Twitter space because I don't like saying X.
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter, right? Did you?
Parts that worked though, because Google had some issues in some areas where it was.
Yeah, Musk says that it was a DDoS attack, but I mean, he said we tested this with like 80 million concurrent listeners, and it was fine. So it must have been DDoS. So it's kind of unclear what the technological glitches or technical glitches were. But it was very hard to get in and listen to. But then once people were in, that was a very, very long conversation that extended into the night. Did you guys listen to it at all? I was very much anticipating it, so I'm just curious.
Parts.
Yeah.
Because I got little kids, so it's get kids to bed.
Me too. That's how I was too.
You know?
Turn the volume down just in case, because I don't know what they're talking about, and then turn the volume back up when they leave the room. Yeah, I did that as well.
Yeah, no, I listened to it. It was solid for what it was.
Yeah.
It was an interesting conversation. Nonetheless, and I guess my biggest takeaway from it, I did love how Elon kept kind of circling back to this whole government efficiency and government spending thing.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the things that I've said a million times. That's Trump's weakness, if not his largest weakness that he has, is his spending efforts. I mean, we can't really argue that. It was absolutely terrible his first deal, and you can't really address the monetary issues be it with the inflation, without addressing both spending and what's happening with the Fed. So trying to see if we can get some sort of commitment from him to address that problem is pretty significant. So it was awesome to at least hear that conversation, being had. I did particularly like what he had to say about in Argentina with Malay, but the problem with that is he thinks that he's Malay and he's not. If he was, that would be probably the first candidate that I'd vote for, not named Ron Paul,
right.
because if you had those positions where you're talking about slashing a quarter, over 3/4 of the freaking government. Hey, this is my kind of party.
Yeah, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, you certainly would be. But no, it was an interesting conversation. He does need to be back on X. I think I've made this point on the show.
Looks like he is.
It does.
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't just a day kind of one-off kind of thing.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's just a weird thing. It'd be one thing if he was just still a private citizen again, and I know he has his true social thing. He probably has some investment in it, contractual obligations. That should be off the table when you are running for office if your goal is to win.
Yeah.
So he should be active. He should be doing this more cultural approach, trying to tap into that, because you already know, as far as the mainstream is concerned, it's not much you're going to do there. Kamala has that locked up.
Yes.
It's just how it is. It's been that way for a while, and it's especially the case. So you have to use what's there at your disposal and at your advantage, where you can beat them at, is doing things like this. And like I said last time, probably before this, the best decision that to me he made on his campaign trail was that stream that he did with Aiden Ross. That was important. That was impactful. He should be doing that type of stuff more. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, so when it comes, by the way, that reminded me, I think that at a certain point he had said that he wanted to abolish the Department of Education or close it down, whatever he said, whatever phrase he used. And the Kamala Harris campaign Twitter was like, Donald Trump just said that he wants to eliminate the Department of Education. And I was like, I'm already voting for him. Yeah. Why do you keep trying to talk me into it?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But it's not just the Department of Education, obviously, that has the problems. To Eric's point, it's like we should be talking about abolishing all of these agencies, including, let's say, the Department of Homeland Security, who is doing nothing except, glorified travel agents, allowing other, unvetted strangers and further into the interior of the country. But not only are they doing that, there's apparently a new memo out that exposes the DHS, exposes their retaliation against whistleblowers within the Border Patrol. So there are 3 agents who blew the lid off of DHS's noncompliance with a law requiring DNA collection from unlawful immigrants. And Catherine Herridge, who is independent now, but whistleblowers Fred Wynn, Mike Taylor, and Mark Jones said the agency's goal is to bankrupt you, make you quit, die, kill yourselves, or basically, preferably, all of the above. The report goes on to say the internal memo from the U.S. Office of Special Counsel found the agency retaliated against the complainants for actual or perceived disclosures of wrongdoing. And of course, the 4 agents involved say the willful noncompliance is inexplicable. So why do any of these agencies exist? All they're doing is creating more chaos, more harm to the American public. And by the way, when it comes to Donald Trump's X space, which is obviously great for his campaign, when it comes to how clear the choice is between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, do you like what's going on at the border? This is like the Obama, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like the border plan, you can't even just keep it. You can actually, Kamala wants to double down on what's going at the border, because here's what she said yesterday on the campaign trail about closing immigrant detention centers on day 1. Watch.
Hi, my name is Sally Hartman. I'm a volunteer with the Center for Worker Justice. Okay. I want to know, when you become president, would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day 1.
Day 1, that's how important it is. Our country is, we're not doing so hot. And on day 1, Kamala wants to close the centers that house the most violent people who are supposed to be deported back, and also the people who we don't freaking know who they are yet.
Before you go, Jaco, one thing.
Yeah, Eric's like, I know Jaco's got a lot to say.
I know you have a lot to say on the subject, but let's assume that was a proper position, like it was one that was justified. Why can't she do that now?
Oh, I know. Oh, well, she says all sorts of things that she's going to do as soon as she becomes president. I'm like, do you not know you're part of the administration
right now? You're
Your
in
borders are right now.
Only supposedly the second most powerful person on the planet.
Yeah.
And the borders are. Only supposedly. But look, I'm hamstrung right now until I'm... What a
Doesn't
bunch
make
of
sense.
crock of crap. But listen, there's so much to say here. I'll try to go fast. I really like the fact that President Trump is engaging in this social conversation with someone like Elon, who is a tremendous draw, not necessarily always on par with Trump, you know. So it's good to have that kind of a conversation. Kudos to Elon to go budget. Of course he does, because he value engineers the dickens out of everything and squeeze $1 a mile and puts rockets in the air and reuses them. That's a novel thought, right? And manufactures in the U.S. and all those kind of things. So it's really a gutsy interview for Trump to take, because Elon will go there, and we need more of those conversations, because I think President Trump learned more in that conversation than he learns spending 4 months around his team, because they will never question him that way. They will never prompt him that way. And he's probably walking away from Elon going, maybe I need to pull that guy a little closer. A little more of those conversations, which is refreshing. He should be on X. The reason he wasn't on there is he rolled Truth into TMG, a SPAC. They needed to make $1 billion on the market, and it couldn't be. Now that's done. He's made his money. Please go back on Twitter and rule the roost, because Kamala and BlackRock, people don't know this, but BlackRock went and pre-purchased all the mainstream media spots through January. They bought them up. So there's an inventory on the Blaze. There's only so many commercials in this show. They went and bought them all up. So even if Trump wants to throw down $1 billion, he cannot buy media spots in mainstream. And they didn't buy it just for Kamala. They just bought it up to dominate. So he's going to have to get really, really vocal on Twitter again. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to, because it's going to be alt media, which I kind of like. I like this underground kind of underdog billionaire that's for the people, that rolls his sleeves up, and his children can name the tractors and the backhoes. And I mean, I like that. He's the people's guy. Mm-hmm. No, not Malay. Yes. Could we please slash all departments, education,
if he wants to
IRS.
use Malay as like his model, I'm good.
Hey, man, go for it, dude.
Let's talk with him.
Let's go.
Talk to Malay and Elon every other day, you know, and that by default will purge the system, you know.
Right.
So no, I think it's really good. It's really healthy. The stream was amazing. Thanks, Baron Trump, for arranging that, stepping into a campaign, getting your dad connected with some of the
was
younger.
Baron?
Yeah, he said that's how he knew who Aiden was.
Baron did it.
Baron, yeah.
Baron actually arranged to connect.
Wow.
I love that.
Come on, Baron, more of that, please. Because look, the woke media is raising money for Kamala through social influence, Hollywood.
Absolutely, that's how they win.
LeBrons of the world.
We talk about all the time.
Let's go play that game now. Let's get
Yes,
him
absolutely.
in there, and let's go.
Right.
Whether it's a Cybertruck or whatever it is, let's go have that conversation. It's trench warfare right now.
Yeah.
So let's go have trench warfare. So I liked it. I think it's great. I don't know. Look, he's got a long way to go to be fiscally strong, because, but that's every president.
No.
Bush outspent the former Clinton,
Right,
Obama outspent.
right.
It's a license to spend, right?
Yeah. I mean,
At some point.
Yeah, but it's also like, listen, I don't love that about him, but if I can get a president who wants to stop chopping children's genitals off and
100%.
stop, right, like all of the other things, we can work on the economic policies later on.
Well, let's talk about the $80,000 a day that we're funding the Taliban through the Ukraine right now.
Right.
So even if he spends a little more, but we abolish the IRS, yes, please. There was comments about that. Department of Education, we fight trafficking again, all those things. Then, hey, it's a balancing act, so it's beautiful. I like it.
Yeah. What I really, I wanted this on the show. I don't know where it is, but did you guys hear the moment? I know we got to take a break. Did you guys hear the moment where Elon asked him in his very like spectrum-y way, which was, God bless him, but he was like, so what was it like to get shot? And Donald Trump was like, not pleasant, not pleasant. I was like, you guys need to clip this and replay this because it's such a fun moment. It just, you know, it's real. And it humanizes him, which the left doesn't want.
Yeah.
In fact, I wish I remembered who said it, but there was someone on the left that was just like, oh, so-and-so wants to humanize Donald Trump. Don't let them fool you. And I'm like, what is he, a hologram? Like, he is a human. We do know this. Maybe we should see the human side of him.
Grandpa. Let's see the grandpa.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. It was the RNC.
Exactly.
With Kai Trump coming up and talking about her grandpa. Yeah.
It was.
Don't let them fool you. No, he's a grandpa. He's a dad. He's a grandpa. He's one of us.
But we can have Hunter Biden abandon his children and Joe not acknowledge
he's just being a good dad, Jaco. He's just being a supportive dad.
Come on.
All right, let's we've got more to come. We got to take a quick break though. We'll be right back. So Gavin Newsom over in California, he, by way of his finance department, is opposing a bill over in California that would make buying children for sex a felony. Mm-hmm. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would you oppose a bill that protects children being bought for sex? Well, they say that it's too expensive and it would it would fill the prisons. Well, hey, listen, I would say...
Not wrong.
I would say if there's a reason to fill prisons, we should probably fill them
Put actual
with the
criminals
effing pedophiles.
Yep.
That's probably a good place for them.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're ever going to... Listen.
I mean, you could put them under the prison.
They could go under the prison.
That's a
They
spot.
could go 6 feet under.
It goes deep.
I mean, I'd be fine with that too, honestly. And hey, then I know Californians pay a lot in taxes. They could just wipe their hands clean of the taxes and walk away. Obviously, I'm talking about in a video game, not in real life.
Yeah.
Wink. So it's just, this is a guy who was, in my opinion, probably yours too, this close to being the Democrat
Who's going to be the nominee. Yeah. He botched it.
This is how radical it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I want to tell people, March 2020. Actually, Josh Hammer, who's a friend of this show, when he was the editor, he published a piece I wrote on Newsweek, and it was about comprehensive sex ed. This is 2019, folks, way ahead of time. And Gavin Newsom, March 2020, signed into executive order comprehensive sex ed into California. He's the one that brought in the book, It's Perfectly Normal, which then triggered all the frenzy in school boards and Lawn Boy and all the books, My Body, Her Body, all these things, right? Genderqueer. This is Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom was the gateway that did this and has been moving. There's so many bills that people would vomit if they see what they block in California because they want... also have a bill coming up in January to lower the age of consent in California to 14. So getting rid of statutory rape.
What is it now in California?
It's
what, 16?
16. They lowered it from 18 to 16. They're chipping away. They actually
14?
They had a bill for 12.
No.
Yeah, and it was pushed back, and so they got settled on 14. Probably gonna get it. So statutory rape is gone. I mean, just maybe TMI, but we literally had a rescue this morning of a 16-year-old sex trafficking victim this morning. 16-year-old, right? Victim. That child in California will have to prove that, hey, I was coerced, I was defrauded, hey, I'm not a prostitute.
Can't.
This is what's coming. This is in California. And so they want pedophiles. They love pedophiles. And a pedophile sympathizer in Jaco Booyens' mind is a pedophile. Not a minor attracted person, a pedophile. A child rapist, a sodomizer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Built 1 million prisons. Round them all up.
Mm-hmm.
Start with Newsom. You wrote a bill that caused a child to be raped and the child didn't have a position in the court of law. You're complicit. In you go. Start with Bill Clinton, his blue dress and his red shoes and Jeffrey Epstein's foyer. There you go. Just line them up. All of them, because the stuff we see every day, it's so sickening, Sarah. And these guys make laws to abuse children. That's where the cookie crumbles.
Oh, I know. It's crazy, Eric.
Yeah, imagine Californians all of a sudden caring about spending. That's quite hilarious.
Isn't it? That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to spend, like, you guys spend money on all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, right.
You could just spend the money on this.
Look, prison in general and how it's, like, looked at, jail systems, all that, in this country is bizarre. Because I know it's obviously a point of contention. It's a real topic, definitely when you consider the war on drugs and how much of an epic failure that it was. But it's such an easy resolution. And that's what I don't understand when we have the conversation. Right now, there are so many nonsensical laws that are in the books that have zero victim. So they're not actually crimes. The state says that it's a crime, but they're not actually crimes. They're just saying that, hey, it's illegal, don't do it. But it's not, and I'm not talking about even things about degeneracy. I'm just saying there's quite literally no victim here. If you got rid of all those and, I don't know, just had a prison for the guys that actually commit the crimes, that have actual prisons, you wouldn't have to worry about them being overfilled or any of that sort of stuff at all. So obviously with this subject here, it's clearly something more nefarious at work, whether it be their politicians, whether it be the people that tend to be out there and definitely floating around Hollywood, and some of the absolute degenerate behavior that exists out there. It almost sounds as if, to your point, definitely mentioning all these other laws, if that's the case, or potential bills that are up for discussion, they're just dirty. And maybe they do want to diddle kids. And maybe that's just simple as that. Maybe it's not as difficult as sometimes we try to make it, because they're irrational. So you try to rationalize with how they got to their position. And sometimes they're just evil. They're just diddlers. That's it.
They're just evil. And remember, don't forget Josh Hawley asking Ketanji Brown in her Supreme Court Justice interview, how many child porn images are too many? 2 or 600? Right? And she can't answer. How she's lowering sentencing of pedophiles. Think of Kamala Harris, who she put pot smokers in prison, and she let molesters and sex offenders walk. This is historically how they operate, because they're part of it, Eric. They do want to engage in those actions.
It's really disgusting. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Well, the Olympics apparently is including breakdancing now-ish. I don't know what this was, but here is Australian breakdancer Rachel Garner. She calls herself Raygun, and she seems to be writhing around on the floor in pain. I think she's hurt. No, she's not hurt, because she's getting up. Yeah, there she. And you guys are going to be shocked to hear that she got zeros.
Yeah,
zero in
so here's
3 rounds.
There's a meme that went out and it said, toe tap spin, touch my chin, kangaroo bunny hop, what you gonna do? I'm a worm, y'all, right? And this is how she behaves and what she sings. Here's the deal. Do you know what her job is?
Yeah.
She's a professor of the cultural influence of breakdancing.
PhD. Yeah. Yeah, her parents.
Australia should apologize and repent, but they should apologize 100%. They won a lot of swim medals, but you swimmers in Australia, you better be going to the breakdancers and say, okay, cut it. Thankfully, breakdancing is not coming back to the Olympics. It was a one and done.
It was. Well, she made sure of that.
Yep.
She really made sure of that.
The internet.
Which, by the way, go find it on Twitter, the full thing, if you want a nice laugh. We can't play very much of it here because it's the Olympics, but Eric.
Oh, that's unfortunate, because there are some awesome breakdancers out there. I think.
Yes.
It was not her.
I think if they did it right, I think it could make sense.
The male winner was.
Oh, he was cold.
I think she was a plant. She's anti-breakdance, and she was a plant to make sure they never include it ever again.